favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Ole Miss coming off a 4-0 week, including a sweep for the first time in school history, a 3-game sweep in Baton Rouge against LSU. And, Coach, you've been telling us for a few weeks now that your team is plenty talented and plenty capable, but has not been playing maybe to those capabilities. You feel like you got that maybe for the first time all season over the last 4 games where they really played well, and maybe really over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I really, Richard, I think I'd go even back to Missouri, where I thought it was a pretty complete weekend for us. In those other weekends, it seemed like we would do it on a Friday, but would just come up short in a Saturday, Sunday, and in our league, it's very unforgiving, and you end up losing 2 out of 3, in which we did 3 weekends in a row. But I thought it started at Missouri here at home. We played really well and played a complete weekend, but then went to 2 hostile environments. Of course, it seems like we always break a record down in Hattiesburg, Southern Miss, and Scott Berry does a great job. And what an awesome team they got this year. We played really well there, and then on to Baton Rouge, for 3 really good games as well.
You can be honest with us on this. Kevin Graham's been back for a while, but Kevin Graham looks like the Kevin Graham of old and has for the last 2 or 3 weekends now. Did it take a little while for him, even once he was healthy enough to play, to be completely healthy and maybe confident again?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think you're right on. Kevin, for people that don't know, Kevin broke his wrist, fractured a bone in his wrist, and a collision at first base. I think it was weekend 3, was out maybe 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks. But what people don't realize, it wasn't like you're out with a hamstring pull where, okay, maybe you're not able to compete, but you can start hitting in the cages and start working your way or getting acclimated, getting ready to play. Kevin, wasn't able to hit for a month and a half, and that's hard to do for a hitter, and then to be able to bounce back. And then, where when he came back, we needed him. And so we inserted him right back in the middle of the lineup. And although he did okay, and although I thought, he was swung well at some fastballs, you could tell when he saw off-speed pitches, he didn't recognize some of those pitches real well. And you could tell when he faced left-handed pitching. But you're exactly right. Over the last couple of weeks, he looks like the Kevin Graham of last year, a guy that hit, 350 with 15 home runs and, was arguably our best hitter in our lineup.
We talked with Scott Berry earlier today about Reese Ewing and kind of, he missed a couple of weeks for them and they got him back and he was a contributor this weekend, and how crazy it is that one guy can change the complexion of an entire offense because of all the other things that, whether it's, different guys have to be in the lineup or there's not as much protection for another guy or for him or however that works. It's crazy how one guy being out can make such a difference.
Yeah, and I think some of it makes a lot of sense where, when you say, hey, this guy, this is what he contributes. He's a middle of the lineup, 330 to 350, double-digit home run, mid-50 RBI guy. Yeah, when you look at those stats, you go, yeah, that's certainly true. But somebody's going to contribute that. How much is that going to affect you in a few weeks? But the other part is just the mental. Where your team really counts on that at bat. Every couple innings. One of the things I always think as the guy that calls the pitches is how you navigate through a lineup. And so for weeks, you look in the middle of the lineup, you had Jacob Gonzalez, Tim Elko, and Kemp Alderman, a freshman that's, having a great, freshman year, or sophomore, having a great sophomore year. But man, that's just 3 middle lineup guys that you have to run through. But if you put another guy in there, it's hard to get through all 4 of them without, somebody doing some damage.
One of those baseball cliches that exists is hitting is contagious. What does that mean? Because you look up and down your lineup and guys seem to be having more confidence at the plate. Is that maybe the key word, confidence, as opposed to contagious, and guys just start to believe?
I think so. I think, a lot of times we'll talk about we need icebreakers. We need somebody to break the ice. When bench leads off with a double, all of a sudden it's different. But once those at bats, once that other pitcher starts to get on a roll, and you have a 1-2-3 inning and another 1-2-3 inning, I think there's times where they feel that pressure. And they're not swinging confidently. They're not in the right mindset, and it's human. You don't want them to do that, but I think they're very human. But on the flip side of that, once you get a couple guys are swinging, they don't have to do it all themselves. All they have to do is move a runner or hit a sac fly and contribute in that way. I think the mindset is it's easier. So I think you're exactly right. When you're swinging well, or more guys in your lineup are swinging well and confidently, it takes a lot of pressure off some of those guys that might not quite be sure yet.
Visiting with Mike Bianco, head baseball coach at Ole Miss. You've always been candid with us. I thought maybe a little emotional after the game yesterday. One, in the fact that you were able to participate in your son Drew's senior day, which is really cool in and of itself. But then also that moment where you realized that he was standing in the on-deck circle in what would have been a really big situation had the previous guy gotten on base.
Yeah, so the first part of it is, my wife just asked me a little bit ago, why were you so emotional? And I don't really know the answer to that, but of course, we love him, and I thought it was a special moment. And as I said, I've missed a lot of things. I've missed graduations, his graduation, to be honest with you. I've only been, I think, to one of the high school graduations. I've missed proms. I've missed state championships in baseball. I've missed a lot of things, and so it's just by luck, that the SEC schedule comes out, and his senior year, we're on senior day, Ole Miss is going to be in the other dugout. So it was really cool to be a part of. The other part of that, him on deck, that wasn't as emotional. That was gosh, if there is a baseball god out there, that this is not right, because this is not this is a no win situation for the Bianco family, because if he comes to the plate, it's not going to go good for one of us. And so I'm thankful that we were able to get McManus and finish the game, so he didn't have to. He or I didn't have to go through that.
So a couple of weeks ago, for being completely honest, if you were looking ahead to Texas A&M, not sure what the stakes were going to be, but because of where your team was, but because of the way you've played for the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden the stakes feel really, really high for this weekend.
They do, but they've been high for a while. To be honest with you, for all the reasons that you kind of are alluding to. We know what our situation's been, and we know that our situation still is a little foggy. We've always said, I don't know how many weeks now that with each win, the path gets a little brighter, a little wider. With each loss, the path gets more narrow. And but let's not just focus on the path. Let's focus on what we can do and put some at bats together and make some plays and make some pitches. And this is a team that's good enough to win and not just win a weekend, but to go on a run. And so I think, but no different than I think this past weekend or any other weekend we've been through. So I know the guys are excited and anxious for the opportunity.
I want to quickly ask you about two guys as we wrap up. One, Justin Bench at third base. Big collision there at third yesterday. Is he okay other than just kind of being sore?
Yeah, it just kind of jolted his back. He's had a few, I would say, minor back issues where his back can kind of flare up on him sometimes. And I think going for the ball and a guy sliding in, and probably a little dehydrated, and all of those mixed in, it probably didn't feel too good. But he was fine today. Practiced full speed and took full batting practice, so he's fine. And what's the other one?
Kemp Alderman, who you referenced earlier, the step that he's made from a year ago, where I'm not sure he could have recognized a breaking ball if you handed it to him, to he looks completely in command, standing at the plate, recognizing pitches, and taking advantage of breaking balls and fastballs when they're in the zone.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Richard, and so proud of him. He's the one that not many people mention, but he's worked so hard to put himself in that position. Everybody knew the strength and the power, but there's a lot of guys that hit it far that can't play this game, and he worked really hard. Give him a lot of credit that he worked really hard in the off season with Mike Clement to be able to recognize the breaking ball, to be able to hit it, to be able to handle it, and also to lay off of it. And so it's not now that ball he hit out of center field was 97-mile-an-hour fastball and was as hard as any ball I've ever seen hit. But he's also handled breaking balls and hit breaking balls out. He's made himself a really tough out and a guy that deserves a lot of credit for his own success.
Big weekend coming up. Texas A&M Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mike, always appreciate your time.